First contact gone wrong. In 2157, the deep space research vessel Pathfinder drifted silently through the darkness near Proxima Centauri. The ship's observation deck offered a stunning view of the alien star system, its red dwarf sun casting a crimson glow across the reinforced glass. Captain Adam Wright stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as his crew worked efficiently at their stations. 6 months into their exploratory mission, and they had already gathered more data than any previous expedition. "Captain, I'm detecting an anomaly at coordinates 227 by 43, said Dr. Lisa Warren, not looking up from her console. Her fingers danced across the holographic display as she analyzed the incoming data. "Define anomaly, Doctor," Wright replied, moving to stand behind her. "It's moving against the stellar currents. Definitely artificial." Lisa's voice conveyed her excitement. "Sir, I believe we're looking at a non-human vessel." The bridge fell silent. After decades of searching the stars, humanity might finally have found proof they weren't alone. "Bring us to alert status. Not emergency, just alert," Wright ordered. "And get me a visual." The main screen flickered to life, showing a distant object. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A strange geometric shape that seemed to shimmer between states, its hull reflecting light in impossible ways. "That's no human design," whispered Eric Daniels, the communications officer. His console beeped insistently. "Captain, it's changing course. I think it's noticed us." Wright nodded. "This is what we prepared for. Lisa, continue data collection. Eric, open all standard greeting channels and begin broadcasting first contact protocols." "Broadcasting now, sir," Eric confirmed, sending mathematical sequences followed by basic language packets. The tension on the bridge was palpable as they waited for a response. Minutes ticked by with nothing but silence from the alien craft. "It's accelerating toward us," Lisa said suddenly, her voice tight. "Approaching rapidly." Wright frowned. "Maintain position. They might just be curious." "Sir, I'm detecting energy buildups along their hull," the tactical officer reported. "Pattern is consistent with weapons charging." "That can't be right," Wright said. "Continue broadcasting peaceful intentions. Raise shields as a precaution." The alien vessel grew larger on the screen, its strange architecture becoming clearer. Ports along its side began to glow with an eerie blue light. "Captain," Lisa shouted, "I strongly recommend evasive action." Before Wright could respond, the alien ship fired. A beam of intense energy sliced through space, hitting the Pathfinder before its shields could fully activate. The impact threw everyone to the floor as alarms blared throughout the ship. "Direct hit. Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Someone shouted over the chaos. Wright pulled himself up using the captain's chair. "Return fire." "Weapons systems offline," came the grim reply. "Sir, engine core is destabilizing," Lisa reported, her face illuminated by the red emergency lights. "We have minutes at most." Wright made his decision instantly. "All hands to escape pods. Eric, send everything we have back to Earth. They need to know what happened here." As the crew scrambled to evacuate, Eric frantically worked to compress their sensor data and observations into a tight beam transmission. His hands trembled as he added a simple message: "Unprovoked attack. Unknown alien species. No warning." The alien vessel fired again, tearing through the Pathfinder's midsection. The ship began breaking apart around them. "Transmission sent," Eric announced as Wright pulled him from his station. They never reached the escape pods. The Pathfinder's reactor went critical, exploding in a brilliant flash that momentarily outshone Proxima Centauri itself. Back on Earth, 16 days later, the message arrived. Humanity had made first contact, and it had gone horribly wrong. As government leaders gathered in emergency sessions, one thing became clear: the universe was not the friendly place they had hoped for, and humanity was no longer alone among the stars. The coalition forms. 48 hours after receiving the Pathfinder's final transmission, United Nations Space Command Director Grace Harding stood before a roomful of world leaders. The large screens behind her displayed the final moments of humanity's first contact. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face an unprecedented threat," Grace said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. The destruction of the Pathfinder was a deliberate act of aggression. The room erupted with voices, some angry, others frightened. A Chinese delegate pounded his fist on the table. "We must build warships immediately." "And what good would that do against technology that destroyed our most advanced vessel in seconds?" asked the European Union representative. Grace raised her hand for silence. "We don't have the luxury of division. Whatever is out there, it knows we exist now. Our only chance is unity." For once, longtime enemies found themselves nodding in agreement. By evening, the Terran Defense Coalition was born, an alliance of all Earth nations dedicated to humanity's survival. At the coalition's first meeting, Dr. Nathan Bell, a physicist who had previously been dismissed as too radical by the scientific community, was given the floor. "The alien weapon signatures suggest they use a form of directed plasma energy," he explained, projecting diagrams that few could follow. "But I believe I can develop shields to counter it." "How long would this take under normal research conditions?" asked Grace. Nathan smiled slightly. "About 15 years." The room fell silent. "We don't have 15 years, Grace said. "Give me every research facility on the planet, unlimited funding, and the best minds in every field," Nathan replied. "And I might do it in 8 months." He got everything he asked for. Meanwhile, in a repurposed NASA training facility, Colonel Sam Bishop worked with military experts from 30 nations. The former astronaut had an unconventional background. He had trained for space exploration, but had also served in special forces. "Forget everything you know about conventional warfare," Sam told the assembled officers. "Space doesn't work like that. We need new tactics, new thinking." Day and night, they ran simulations based on the limited data from the Pathfinder encounter. Sam developed strategies that emphasized speed and unpredictability over firepower. "We'll never match their technology in time," he explained. "But humans have always been good at doing the unexpected." Across the globe, factories were converted to produce components for space vessels. Orbital shipyards that had once built commercial stations now constructed warships. Children practiced emergency drills in schools while adults volunteered for new defense forces. 6 months into preparations, Dr. Bell's team had a breakthrough. In a heavily guarded laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps, they successfully generated a shield that could withstand plasma weapons. "It's not perfect," Nathan admitted as Grace watched a demonstration, "but it's enough to give us a fighting chance." The same day, diplomatic teams were prepared. If humanity had to fight, they would, but they would try speaking first. "We select our best and brightest," Grace announced to the Coalition Council. "People who can represent Earth with dignity, intelligence, and strength." Ambassador Kelly Martinez was chosen to lead the diplomatic mission. A respected negotiator with a background in anthropology, she had resolved conflicts thought impossible to settle. "I can't promise they'll listen," Kelly told Grace during her briefing, "but we have to try." As humanity worked together with unprecedented cooperation, orbital defenses grew stronger. The first warships, named Defender, Guardian, and Sentinel, took their positions at the edge of the solar system. Earth was changing. Old enemies now worked side by side. Resources once spent on internal conflicts were directed toward common defense. Through fear came unity, and through unity came unexpected strength. Whatever waited among the stars, humanity would face it together. The misunderstanding. Ambassador Kelly Martinez watched through the viewport as her ship, the diplomatic vessel Olive Branch, approached the massive space station. The structure hung in space like a gleaming metal snowflake, with vessels of various designs docked at its many arms. "Quite the reception committee," muttered her security chief, Frank Miller, nodding toward the 6 alien warships escorting them. Kelly straightened her uniform. "Remember, We're here to understand why they attacked the Pathfinder. Nothing more, nothing less. The olive branch docked with surprising gentleness. When the airlock opened, Kelly led her team of 5 diplomats into a circular chamber. Waiting for them were 7 aliens of different species. Most prominent was a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to shimmer with inner light. "I am Italnar, speaker for the Hegemony Council," the blue being said in perfect English. "Your transmission devices have been studied to learn your language." Kelly stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Kelly Martinez of Earth. We come seeking explanation for an unprovoked attack on our research vessel." The aliens exchanged glances that Kelly couldn't interpret. "The Varaxian patrol acted according to hegemony law," Italnar stated flatly. "Your vessel had traveled beyond permitted boundaries." "Permitted? By whom?" Kelly asked. "We weren't aware of any boundaries or laws. We had no contact with your civilization before the attack." A smaller reptilian alien stepped forward. "Ignorance of law is no excuse. Category 3 species are restricted to their home systems until proper evolution occurs." Kelly felt her temper rise, but kept her voice level. "You destroy our ship without warning, killing everyone aboard. Where I come from, we talk before we shoot." "An unfortunate necessity," Italnar replied. "The ship exceeded authorized technological parameters for your species classification." Over the next 3 hours, Kelly learned the disturbing truth. The Hegemony, a federation of 27 advanced species, had been observing Earth for centuries. They categorized all intelligent life forms and enforced strict development protocols. Your kind was designated Category 3, potentially dangerous but containable, explained a bird-like alien named Krill. Your advancement from primitive technology to space travel occurred too rapidly. This alarmed the Council. "So you decided to kill our explorers rather than introduce yourselves?" Frank asked, unable to hide his disgust. Italnar's eyes flashed. "The hegemony has existed for 50,000 years by maintaining order. Species must develop at proper rates. Those who advance too quickly become threats." Kelly leaned forward. "We came here hoping this was just a misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding," Italnar replied coldly. "Your species violated containment protocols." The response was standard. As the meeting progressed, Kelly realized with growing horror that the hegemony viewed humans as little more than dangerous animals requiring management. They spoke of population control measures and technological suppression as if discussing pest management. When Kelly protested that humans had rights to self-determination, the council members seemed genuinely puzzled. "You misunderstand your place in the cosmic order," Italnar told her. "The hegemony ensures peace by preventing species like yours from disrupting galactic stability." The final blow came when Kelly requested a formal apology for the Pathfinder attack. "Apologize?" Krill chirped in apparent amusement. "One does not apologize to lesser species for maintaining order." Another council member activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system, with a boundary line just beyond Mars. "These are your limits," Italnar stated. "Return to them. Any human vessel detected beyond this line will be destroyed without warning." Kelly stood slowly, her hope for peaceful resolution fading. "My people sent me to understand why you attacked us," she said quietly. "Now I do. You believe yourselves superior, with the right to decide other species' fates." She looked each alien in the eye before turning to leave. "I'll deliver your message to Earth, but I don't think you'll like our response." The warning unheeded. The Grand Council chamber of the hegemony glittered with technology beyond human understanding. Massive crystalline displays showed thousands of star systems, while anti-gravity platforms carried various alien representatives to their designated positions. Ambassador Kelly Martinez had been summoned back after Earth's initial response to the hegemony's demands. This time, she wasn't alone. Jack Morrison, a former diplomat with military experience, stood beside her. His weathered face showed no emotion as the hegemony council members entered the chamber. "The human delegation has been granted audience to hear the council's final decision." announced Etelnar, the four-armed speaker. His voice echoed through the vast space. New information has come to our attention. A holographic display activated in the center of the room. It showed images of Earth's rapidly developing defense systems, the fleet of ships under construction, and Dr. Bell's shield technology tests. "Your species has been reclassified," said a tall, insect-like alien named Vrilzex. "You are now designated as Category 5. Expansionist species with high containment priority." Kelly felt a chill run down her spine. She had learned enough about hegemony classifications to know this was dangerous. "What exactly does that mean?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. Etelnar's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "It means your kind presents a greater threat than initially assessed. Your response to our rightful authority was to accelerate military development rather than comply. You destroyed our ship without warning and expected us to simply accept your rule," Jack said, speaking for the first time. "Humans don't respond well to bullies." Several council members made sounds that the translators didn't catch. Etelnar's skin turned a deeper shade of blue. "The council has voted," Etelnar continued, ignoring Jack's comment. "A containment fleet will be dispatched to your system. Your military installations will be neutralized. Technological development will be limited to acceptable parameters." "And if we resist?" Kelly asked. "Resistance is expected but futile," replied Vrilzex. "Category 5 species often require decisive intervention." Jack stepped forward. The coalition had prepared him carefully for this moment. Every word had been discussed and debated by Earth's leaders. "I am authorized to deliver humanity's final message to your council," he said. His voice was calm but carried throughout the chamber. "We came to the stars in peace. We still desire peace, but understand this clearly. We will not be contained." Murmurs spread among the council members as Jack continued. "Humanity extends a hand in friendship, but we will not surrender our freedom. We will not abandon our destiny among the stars. And we will defend ourselves if attacked." Etelnar made a dismissive gesture. "Your primitive weapons cannot stand against hegemony technology." This display of defiance is noted but irrelevant. "Perhaps," Jack replied. "But know this, humans have faced impossible odds throughout our history. It's what we do best. We adapt. We overcome. We prevail." "This meeting is concluded," Etelnar announced. "Return to your world and prepare your people. The containment fleet departs within one rotation." As Kelly and Jack were escorted from the chamber, a smaller alien approached them in the corridor. Its skin was pale green, its eyes large and dark. "They underestimate your kind," it whispered. "I have studied Earth's history. The hegemony has never encountered a species quite like yours." "And what species are you?" Kelly asked. "We were Category 5 once too. Now we serve." The alien glanced around nervously before hurrying away. Back on their ship, Jack looked out at the massive hegemony station. "They didn't listen," Kelly said. "They never intended to," Jack replied. "Their minds were made up before we arrived." He activated the secure communication line to Earth. "Coalition Command, this is Morrison." The warning was delivered and ignored. "Containment fleet is inbound." Repeat, "Containment fleet is inbound." On Earth, the Coalition received the message and initiated final defense preparations. Dr. Bell's shield technology was deployed to every available vessel. Admiral Chen's fleet moved into position. The first interstellar war in human history was about to begin. The first victory. The hegemony containment fleet arrived at the edge of Sol system exactly as promised. 17 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. Each ship dwarfed the largest human vessels by at least 5 times. From her command chair aboard the Coalition flagship Defiance, Fleet Commander Olivia Chen watched the tactical display with outward calm. Inside, her heart pounded. Everything humanity had built over the past 11 months would soon be tested. "All ships report ready, Commander," her executive officer reported. Shield systems at full capacity. Olivia nodded. Maintain position. Let them come to us. The Coalition Defense Force consisted of 32 vessels arranged in a protective formation around Earth. They were smaller and less advanced than the alien ships, but they had one advantage the hegemony didn't know about. Incoming transmission from the lead hegemony vessel, announced the communications officer. The main screen activated, showing a reptilian alien with scales that shifted color as it spoke. Attention primitive vessels. This is Executor Dravkor of the Hegemony Containment Fleet. Your defiance is noted. Surrender now, and some of your population may be preserved. Olivia stood. This is Commander Chen of Earth Defense Force. We have no hostile intentions toward your people, but we will defend our home. The alien scales flashed red. You were warned. Your species requires correction. The screen went dark. All vessels, activate bell shields, Olivia ordered. Prepare for incoming fire. The hegemony ships moved forward in perfect formation. Energy readings spiked across Olivia's tactical display as the massive alien vessels charged their weapons. They're targeting Earth directly, reported her tactical officer, bypassing our fleet entirely. Olivia had anticipated this. Deploy countermeasure drones. All ships hold position. Hundreds of small, unmanned vessels launched from the human fleet, forming a secondary defensive screen between Earth and the approaching aliens. The hegemony fired first. Intense beams of energy lanced out from their lead vessels, cutting through space toward Earth. When they hit the drone screen, something unexpected happened. Dr. Bell's quantum shield technology didn't just block the energy weapons, it absorbed them, redirecting the power through carefully calibrated fields. The drone's shields glowed brilliantly as they took the brunt of the attack. Shield network holding at 87%, reported the tactical officer, unable to keep surprise from his voice. The absorption matrix is functioning better than predicted. On the hegemony command ship, Executor Dravkor stared in disbelief. The primitive species should not have this technology. It should have taken them centuries to develop such defensive capabilities. Increase power to main batteries, he ordered. Burn through their shields. The hegemony fired again, this time with all their ships concentrating on a single point in the human defense network. But Engineer Ryan Foster's innovation was ready for this too. Drone Cluster 7, implement Foster maneuver, Olivia commanded. The targeted drones suddenly scattered, redistributing the incoming energy across the entire network instead of allowing it to focus on one point. Not only did the shields hold, but the absorbed energy was channeled back to the human fleet, boosting their power reserves. All ships, advance and engage, Olivia ordered. Execute Battle Plan Delta. The human ships broke formation, moving with surprising speed and agility. Instead of meeting the larger hegemony vessels head-on, they attacked from multiple angles, using their smaller size as an advantage. They're trying to regroup, the tactical officer reported. Their formation is breaking down. Olivia leaned forward. Now's our chance. Target their propulsion systems. The human fleet fired in perfect coordination. Beams of redirected energy, the hegemony's own weapon signatures, struck the alien vessels at their most vulnerable points. 3 hegemony ships lost power and began to drift. 2 more suffered critical damage to their weapons arrays. Impossible, Dravkor whispered as his flagship shuddered under another precise hit. 6 hours later, the battle was over. 7 hegemony vessels had been disabled. 3 had been destroyed. The remainder had retreated, jumping back to faster-than-light travel with damage to their hulls. Earth had won its first interstellar battle. And across the galaxy, news of humanity's impossible victory began to spread. The counter-offensive. Admiral Jeff Collins stared at the holographic star map floating before him in the war room of Coalition headquarters. Blue dots represented human ships, while red marked known hegemony positions. For the first time, the blue dots were moving beyond Sol's system. Operation Liberty begins now, Jeff announced to the gathered officers. Phase 1. Establish forward bases beyond our system and make contact with other species the hegemony has subjugated. The room erupted in applause. After defeating the containment fleet, humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this moment. Now, they were taking the fight to the hegemony. The Coalition's newly completed flagship, Intrepid, led the advance fleet. Its quantum drives, reverse-engineered from captured hegemony technology, allowed it to travel faster than any previous human vessel. Behind it came 20 warships, each equipped with Dr. Bell's improved shield systems. Their first destination was Ta City, where intelligence gathered from captured hegemony databases indicated another contained species resided. Approaching Ta City system, reported the Intrepid's navigator. Local scans show hegemony monitoring stations, but no major fleet presence. Jeff nodded. Proceed with caution. Let's not announce ourselves until we understand the situation. The Intrepid dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Immediately, sensors detected numerous artificial structures orbiting the fourth planet. Life signs confirm non-human biology, said the science officer. Consistent with database records of the Nayari species. According to hegemony files, the Nayari were a peaceful, aquatic species who had developed space travel 2 centuries ago, only to be restricted to their home system by hegemony law. We're being scanned, announced the tactical officer suddenly. A hegemony patrol vessel has spotted us. Open fire before they can send a warning, Jeff ordered. The Intrepid's weapons lashed out, disabling the patrol ship's communications array with surgical precision. Within hours, the human fleet had neutralized all hegemony presence in the system without alerting the wider alien government. Now came the delicate part. Transmit greeting protocols to the Nayari orbital stations, Jeff instructed. Dr. Harrison's translation matrix should allow basic communication. Dr. Amy Harrison had led the team that developed the advanced translation technology. By analyzing the hegemony's own communication systems, they had created a device that could quickly adapt to new languages. The response from the Nayari came faster than expected. A holographic image appeared on the bridge. A sleek, blue-skinned being with large, expressive eyes. Unknown vessels, the translation came through. Your design matches no hegemony configuration. Identify yourselves. Jeff stepped forward. I am Admiral Jeff Collins of Earth. We have come to offer alliance against the hegemony that has confined both our peoples. The Nayari representative's eyes widened. You speak of resistance. This is forbidden. The punishment. We have already defeated a hegemony fleet sent to punish us, Jeff replied. We believe all species have the right to determine their own destiny. Over the next few days, human diplomats met with Nayari leaders. Initially cautious, the aquatic aliens became increasingly interested as they learned of Earth's successful defense. For 200 years, we have obeyed their boundaries, the Nayari High Speaker told Jeff. Many of us have forgotten what it means to dream beyond our system. When Jeff showed them recordings of the battle near Earth, the Nayari Council voted unanimously to join the human resistance. This pattern repeated across a dozen star systems. The Volari, insectoid engineers whose technology rivaled humanity's. The Krith, warrior beings who had been forcibly pacified generations ago. The Elwyn, whose psychic abilities the hegemony had feared. All joined what was quickly becoming a galactic rebellion. With each new ally, the coalition grew stronger. Dr. Harrison's translation technology allowed effective coordination between diverse species. Human tactical flexibility combined with Volari engineering and Krith battle experience created a force unlike anything the hegemony had faced before. 6 months into the campaign, the rebellion controlled 37 star systems. The hegemony, accustomed to unchallenged authority, found itself fighting a multi-front war against enemies who refused to follow conventional tactics. The outer defense ring has fallen, Jeff announced to the Coalition's Multi-Species Council. The path to the hegemony core worlds is open. As their fleet pressed forward, a message spread from world to world. Freedom was coming, carried on human ships. A new galactic order. The hegemony capital world of Selnar hung in space like a jewel, its artificial rings glittering with lights from thousands of structures. For 50,000 years, this planet had been the center of power for the most dominant force in the known galaxy. Now, a fleet of 200 ships from 24 species approached it. Captain Michelle Douglas stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship Peacemaker, watching the massive hegemony defense platforms that surrounded the planet. Despite their imposing appearance, most were powered down, a result of the Coalition's strategy to isolate the capital from its resource worlds. "All ships report ready, Captain," her first officer said. "Allied forces await your command." Michelle nodded, her expression solemn. After 18 months of fighting across hundreds of light years, the Coalition had pushed to the very heart of hegemony space. What had begun as Earth's desperate defense had evolved into a revolution that encompassed a quarter of the galaxy. "Open a channel to Selnar Central Command," she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Grand Council chamber. The 7 senior members of the hegemony sat in their elevated seats, their postures rigid with tension. Etelnar, the blue speaker who had once dismissed humanity with such contempt, now looked older and worn. "This is Captain Michelle Douglas of the Allied Coalition," she began. "Your outer defenses have fallen. Your supply lines are cut. We control your shipyards and resource worlds. I am authorized to offer terms for your surrender." Etelnar's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "The hegemony does not surrender. We have ruled the stars since before your ancestors crawled from the oceans." "That time has ended," Michelle replied calmly. "You can choose how it ends, with more bloodshed or with peace." The insect-like counselor, Vril Zex, chittered angrily. "You primitives cannot comprehend the chaos you've unleashed." The hegemony maintained order. "Without our guidance, the galaxy will descend into war and savagery." Michelle allowed herself a small smile. "We've heard this argument before. But look around you. The Coalition includes 26 species working together without your guidance. We've managed not to destroy each other despite your predictions." She gestured to her side, where representatives from various allied species stood. The aquatic Nyari diplomat, the crystalline Valeri ambassador, the psychic Elwyn mediator, all united in this moment. "We aren't here to replace the hegemony with another empire," Michelle continued. "We're offering a different path forward, one where all sentient species have the right to determine their own destiny." Etelnar conferred quietly with the other counselors. The chamber fell silent except for their hushed voices. Finally, he turned back to the screen. "What are your terms?" Michelle had prepared for this moment carefully. "The hegemony will recognize the sovereignty of all sentient species. The classification system will be abolished. No more containment, no more suppression of technological development." She paused to let this sink in before continuing. "In return, the Coalition will not occupy hegemony worlds. Your people will maintain their territory and cultural autonomy. We seek coexistence, not conquest." "And if we refuse?" asked a counselor from the shadows. Michelle's voice remained steady. "Then we demonstrate that humanity meant what we said in our first warning. We didn't come this far to fail." The council requested 1 hour to deliberate. When they returned, their decision was unanimous. The hegemony, for the first time in 50 millennia, surrendered. 3 days later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the Grand Council chamber to sign the Treaty of Selnar. Where once the hegemony had ruled with absolute authority, now diverse species worked together to establish a new framework for galactic cooperation. Michelle watched as the documents were sealed, marking the official end of hegemony rule and the birth of the Galactic Confederation, a system where sovereignty was guaranteed and no species could impose its will on another. "We did it," whispered the Nyari ambassador beside her. "When your ships first appeared in our system, I never imagined this outcome." Michelle smiled. Humans have always been good at achieving the impossible. As news of the treaty spread across thousands of worlds, humanity's reputation transformed. They were no longer seen as a dangerous upstart species. Instead, they became known as liberators, the people who challenged an empire and created a new era of freedom. We meant what we said, Michelle told a gathering of reporters later. Humanity came to the stars to prevail, not to conquer. The difference matters. Epilogue. Legacy of freedom. 5 years after the Treaty of Zelnar, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined before first contact. The skyline of New Geneva gleamed with a mixture of human and alien architecture, towering structures that housed the headquarters of the Galactic Confederation. Alan Reeves, once a junior officer aboard the Pathfinder's sister ship, now served as Earth's representative to the Confederation Council. He stood on the observation deck of the Memorial Tower, watching ships from dozens of worlds move through the busy space lanes above the city. "Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it?" asked Lily Harper, joining him at the railing. As the architect who had designed the tower, she took pride in how it had become a symbol of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Alan nodded. "I remember when we thought we were alone in the universe. Now look at us." The Memorial Tower stood at the exact center of New Geneva, its structure inspired by both human design and elements from every allied species. At its base lay a garden containing plants from 200 worlds, surrounding a simple monument listing the names of the Pathfinder crew. "The Krith delegation arrived this morning," Lily said. They'd brought their proposal for the new Joint Defense Initiative. The alliance that had formed to fight the hegemony had evolved into something more lasting. The Galactic Confederation operated on principles of mutual respect and cooperation, with no species holding authority over another. "And how are the trade negotiations with the former hegemony worlds?" Alan asked. "Better than expected. Even Etelnar has been surprisingly cooperative." The former speaker of the hegemony had become an unlikely advocate for reform among his people. After centuries of believing in their inherent superiority, many hegemony species were still adjusting to their new status as equals rather than rulers. A small ship descended toward the nearby landing pad, its design distinctly non-human. The Elwyn diplomatic vessel touched down with barely a sound, its crystalline hull catching the afternoon sunlight. "Right on time," Alan noted, checking his watch. "The council meeting starts in an hour." Today's agenda included perhaps the most significant proposal since the formation of the Confederation, the Exploration Initiative. For millennia under hegemony rule, vast regions of the galaxy had been declared off-limits, their secrets preserved for the ruling species alone. Now, joint expeditions would venture into these unknown regions. "I heard Dr. Bell is heading the scientific team," Lily said as they walked toward the council chambers. Ellen smiled. "Fitting, isn't it? His shields helped us win the war. Now he gets to pursue his real passion, discovery." The corridors of the Confederation headquarters bustled with activity. Humans walked alongside aliens of all descriptions, their differences obvious but no longer barriers to cooperation. Children from a local school toured the building, wide-eyed, at the sight of a towering Krith warrior explaining the ceremonial armor displayed in a cultural exhibit. When they reached the council chamber, representatives from 37 species had already gathered. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others sat in specially designed chairs, and a few species existed as pure energy contained in technical devices. Alan took his seat beside the Nayari ambassador, who acknowledged him with a respectful gesture. "Before we begin," announced the council chair, a Valeri whose crystalline form shimmered as she spoke, "I wish to recognize the anniversary of what humans call First Contact Day. Though it began with tragedy, we now mark it as the beginning of a new era for all our peoples." The chamber fell silent in remembrance. Then, one by one, the representatives activated the glowing spheres before them, casting their votes to approve the Exploration Initiative. As the final votes were tallied, Alan thought about how far they had come. Humanity had entered the galactic stage with a warning, that they would not be contained, that they would prevail. That warning had turned into a promise of freedom that now extended to hundreds of worlds. Outside the council chamber, ordinary citizens of Earth went about their lives in a world forever changed. Children learned about alien cultures in school, Scientists collaborated across species boundaries, and the stars no longer represented an unknown frontier, but a network of new friends and possibilities. Humanity had prevailed, not through conquest, but by championing a simple idea, that all thinking beings deserved the freedom to chart their own course among the stars.